welcome back to Just Ask Mrs. Hurlbut. This is episode 14. Our topic today is forgiveness. Lots to talk about with forgiveness, so I'm just going to jump right in and welcome back Lucy girl.
Hi.
Hi. When I think of forgiveness, I'm going to come to this or at this from my faith, because my faith really dictates or prioritizes forgiveness. Forgiveness is number one to me. So no matter what questions you ask, I'm going to fight for forgiveness. Okay, so let's start.
Okay. How do I forgive someone who never apologized or doesn't think that they did anything wrong?
Whew. That takes you back to that control, right? You can't control what other people do, say, think, or feel. So that's going to be up to you. You've got to ask yourself how much of what this person is doing, saying, feeling, articulating, whatever it is, how much of it are you going to let bother you? How much is it going to impact or define who you are and what you're doing in your life? Because you can't tell them to be sorry. You can't. In fact, I always tell people don't ever tell somebody to apologize. When I was raising my 5 kids, whenever there was a problem, I never said, say you're sorry. You need to apologize. I would never say that. I would always say to them, go check to see if they're okay. Do you understand what just happened? The goal would be that in that conversation, they would realize the error of their ways and then feel remorseful and apologize. So you can't make somebody apologize, and you can't make somebody feel sorry or even recognize that they've done something wrong. The best you can do is explain your position in whatever the circumstances are by saying this was hurtful, whether or not you meant for it to be hurtful, it's hurtful. I also have a big problem with the words, that hurts my feelings. I also raise my kids to not say that, because that's on you. That's your feelings that are hurt. But what their actions are could be hurtful. But you need to always address the behavior of the other person, not the way it's impacting you so much. So what you're doing could be perceived as hurtful, so hear me out. So you can try explaining that in a way that is not going to put them on the defense. But more importantly, you got to focus on how you respond to the way people are treating you, and decide what you're willing to let go of, what you're willing to forgive, even without the person recognizing or feeling remorseful. It's really tough to do, but you got to find forgiveness in your heart, because it's the only way to healing. I don't know if I answered the question.
No, I think you did. I think that your answer has a lot to do with your faith, obviously, but I would say in this circumstance, there's a world in which you forgive, but if their character showed without taking responsibility and apologizing, you forgive them and can walk away.
That's a whole other side of forgiveness. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm always going to say,
that when we say forgive, some people might take that as like you're just going to forgive and be their friend again. Or still be with them. You can forgive someone and be like, but I didn't like how your character showed in that moment, so I'm going to take a step away.
You guys take a step away and kind of log that as a means of protecting your heart. Yeah. Like this idea of forgive and forget. Yes, it works. However, you've got to guard your heart so that in that protection, you're avoiding the same situation happening again, which I think I'll hold on to that in case that comes up again.
So what I just brought up kind of goes into the next question, where do you think it's possible to forgive someone but still choose not to have them in your life?
I think, yes, that is very possible. You can forgive, you can forget even, but stepping away is an option.
Yeah.
Especially if it's not a spouse. If it's a spouse, that's a whole different dynamic. But if you're young and you're away at school and you're building friendships or you're starting romantic relationships, you can forgive, you can forget, but you can also separate yourself from that person, step back from that person, take a break from that person, maybe minimize the time that you spend with that person. Maybe you were together 24/7 with a new friend at school, and they did something once, they did it twice. That whole idea, shame on you, shame on me. Don't allow yourself to be caught in that trap again. So protect yourself by forgiving, sometimes even without the person asking for it, but say, I'm going to let this go, because if I keep it in my heart, it's going to exhaust me, and I'm going to waste all my energy on something negative when I could forgive, forget, and move on and open my heart to something better. So the question was, can you? Yes, you can walk away.
These segues are just laying themselves up for me. How can I stop replaying something someone did to me over and over in my head, even after I said I forgive them? So how do you do the forgiving and actually let go of the grudge and actually forgive internally?
That is a skill set, to be honest with you. That is you removing yourself completely, not allowing it to define you, channeling your energy elsewhere, pulling out the tools in your pocket for coping. You gotta learn how to cope so you can get back on your feet and not let this define who you are. I'm sorry that I keep asking to repeat, but what was the last part of that?
Even after I've said I forgive them.
So you also, sorry, the part before that.
The question is, how can I stop replaying something someone did to me over and over in my head, even after I said I forgive them?
So you say you've forgiven, but you haven't been able to forget. You haven't been able to get over it. You haven't been able to resolve whatever the issue is. But you've forgiven them. So the conversation you have with them may or may not be done. Yeah. Let's say it's done. So now it's on you. Now it's on you to say, how can I get past this? Because it's done. It's behind me. It's not going to change. The person I had this problem with is good to go. But how do I not rehash that? By learning from it and figuring out how to apply this to whatever other issue might come up in the future. You've got to find the skill set to remove yourself completely, to wipe the slate clean, to brush off your knees, get up and move forward. That's not always easy because you still have the, but I still feel this and I still feel that. You have to work through that. Find somebody else to talk to, but talking to that person might not be your best option.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, why is it so hard to forgive myself for mistakes I've made in the past?
Well, we are our own worst critic. We are our own worst enemy. It's funny because most people will have long forgotten the things that are bugging you about yourself. Let's say you did something really embarrassing. I'm trying to think of, because I've done a lot of things that are embarrassing. And everybody else has moved on and long forgotten about it. And it just sits with you and sits with you, and you cannot shake it. Again, that's on you. You've got to find...
I think perspective is big for that.
Yeah. You got to find the skill set to step out.
Yeah.
Know that nobody cares more than you do. Nobody ever cares more than you do. That is a fact. And really step back and say, what do I need to stop rehashing this over and over again? And the trick is always to move forward.
Yeah.
And not backwards.
And just how to not do it again.
Yeah. To not do it again. But moving forward, believe me, if you're a 20-something adult and you move forward, your plate's going to get real full real fast. And that stuff is going to be a blip in your past. And in a year, in 5 years, you will, not only will you not think much of it, you probably will have long forgotten about it.
Yeah, I saw something once that always stuck with me, that when you have those moments of embarrassment or anxiety or regret or whatever, it's like, is this going to matter? Is this going to affect my life in 5 minutes, 5 months, or 5 years? And it's like, if it's not going to affect anything past 5 minutes, like, you shouldn't be spending, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and give yourself some grace. You got to give yourself some grace. You've got to say to yourself, look in the mirror and say, I'm human, I'm flawed, we're all human, we're all flawed. If I have a regret about something I've done, I'm going to stop and say, where's the lesson here?
Yeah.
And then take that with me and let whatever it is that I can't seem to shake, just let go of it. It's going to be in the rearview mirror, and before long you won't see it anymore. So look forward, take a lesson, and grow.
Nice. Okay, this one I think is technically a personal opinion, but are there some things that someone might do that are not worthy of my forgiveness?
Is it a personal, yes. I ask my students every
not
year.
just moral code, black and white, like it's...
But I do this every year I do it in both the classes that I teach, because forgiveness comes up in both classes. And we actually do a whole seminar in one of them. And I challenge my students by asking them, do you think there's any sin that's not forgivable? And they'll rattle off a bunch of stuff. And I will say then, do you think that you can move on without forgiveness? And there's a dispute over whether or not you can. And then in my other class, we'll talk about relationships. And it comes up a lot where people will say, well, if somebody cheats on me, that is not forgivable, absolutely not forgivable. And I challenge them, and they all think I'm out of my mind. Mm-hmm. So let's go back to the first one, which is there anything that's not forgivable? Well, the story that we talk about in my class is this amazing story. It's heartbreaking, about a young 20-something drunk driver who hits a car with two young girls in it who are his age, maybe a little younger, and they both die. Mm-hmm. And he goes to prison for manslaughter. I think he's given 20 years. And the mom of one of the girls comes forward and says, why does he have to have the same loss that we're having? Why can't we find peace and forgiveness? In the beginning, she had nothing but hatred for him. But in the end, she found herself visiting him in prison, building a relationship with him. And they got so close, and he was so remorseful that she was able to speak to the judge and get his sentence reduced, and had him, released from prison early, and they went on the road together.
Wow.
And they spent years speaking to high school students about the dangers of drinking and driving. And she said that the forgiveness that she offered him did more for her than it did for him, because it gave her the freedom to heal and to grow and to make other people's lives better. When I show that, it's a video, when I show that story, my students, they flip a switch and go, wow, I never thought about the possibility of the good that can come from forgiveness for both parties. So there's that side of it. But then there's the whole side of relationships and marriage, and even marriage. I tell my students I've actually witnessed marriages where there have been cheating reconcile and go on to be better and stronger. And again, my 17, 18-year-old students think I'm out of my mind. But I say, consider things like the history that you share, the vows that you made, the family that you've built, right? And think of the remorse. If this person is truly and deeply remorseful and wants to change the behavior, the pattern in behavior, and wants to build that relationship back up, especially if there's kids involved, something worth considering. So I'm just saying, I personally believe that everything can be forgiven. I feel really strongly in my heart that if I was, God forbid, if I was in a situation where I lost a child in that manner that woman lost a child, I would do the same thing. I know without a shadow of a doubt I'd have forgiveness in my heart. I don't know a lot of people who can say that. I feel pretty strongly. I hope I never get put to the task. I feel the same way about this idea of extramarital affairs being forgivable. I believe that if your heart's in the right place, there's room for grace, there's room for second chances, there's room for forgiveness. So please consider that. Those of you who see in black and white, there's a lot of gray area to consider.
Unpopular opinion, but
I know it's
loved
unpopular, but a lot of things I say are unpopular,
That's the point.
counterculture. I told you that, but I believe really strongly in that.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen it work.
You have experiences that back it. It's not just you being naive and hopeful of the world.
And
You've seen
with my
it work.
rose-colored glasses,
Yeah,
which
that's
people
what-
people accuse me of a lot, and I've been blessed with both my children and my marriage, but I've seen it. I promise you, I've seen it multiple times, and I've seen where forgiveness didn't work, but I've seen forgiveness work, and it heals, and it makes relationships better. So just keep that in mind. Woo! Let's move on to the next question.
Ma'am, that was it.
Oh, that was it?
Yeah.
That's all 5?
Yeah.
What?
You whipped through those.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, guys, please value the power of forgiveness. It is the secret ingredient to all relationships. When people ask me what's the most important thing about marriage, oftentimes the answer is communication, which was our last episode. I say forgiveness. It's all about forgiveness. If you want to repair a damaged relationship, you set aside your pride, you set aside your anger, and you meet that person where they are, and you remember how much you love them. If it's a repeat offender, if we're talking about abuse or addiction or mental health, that's a totally different scenario. That's where you would need a third party to step in. But if it's a relationship where someone made a big mistake, but they're still the person that you knew and fell in love with or built a friendship with, really consider forgiveness, because it's super powerful, super effective, and oh so healing. So I'm done. So go in peace. Thanks, everybody. Lucy, how should they get in touch with us?
You can comment down below. You can comment or direct message on Instagram, and you can submit your questions to justaskmrshurlbut@gmail.com.
I need your questions so that I know what my topics are. I want my topics to be what you're interested in hearing about. So keep the questions coming. Tell a friend, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.